Some days they're gonna go to the creek, some days they're gonna, but I don't think $2 is unreasonable. I do think that all the way to 18 seems a bit much. I can't imagine my 18-year-old daughter not paying to go to the pool if she was, you know, at her grandparents' house. Because, you know, she's a minor, but, well, not a minor at 18. That just, you know, can we drop that to 13? You know, I don't know if that's a feasible type thing, and then, you know, above that. And the other thing is, there was something about all minors being accompanied. That's not what our rules and regs says, I don't think. I think they have to be 13?
13 and under.
13 and under.
Okay, 13 and under.
The point is that there is a rule that is most likely not being enforced, and whether or not it's minors or 13, that's my mistake.
Oh, okay, I had just heard Linda say
Well, no,
it.
I
No, I said it.
yeah.
Oh, okay. And the other thing would be, I used to go to a private pool when I was a kid, and we had to pass a swimming, we had to be able to cross the pool and tread water for a certain amount of time before we were allowed to be unaccompanied. I don't know if that's something in the future, or, but you know, the lifeguards would check everybody out so that, you know, you didn't.
Yeah, where you basically create a program that you had, okay, I don't necessarily need to have an adult with me. I've proven I can swim or tread water for 30 minutes or whatever the case may
Yes.
be.
So, I mean, it's for the future maybe,
Yes,
something to
yeah, and
consider.
I like that idea. And maybe that's something you can include in the rules and
Rules and regs.
committee. Yeah, just
Okay.
maybe like a suggestion around that, hey, this is something I've seen somewhere else. We'd really like to figure out how to get this in there. Even if you don't know where the place is in the rules, right? Just the idea itself would be
Right.
very helpful.
Okay, and last thing, because I don't want to take too much time, is, I think the $7 is appropriate. We have to strike while the iron's hot, you know. People have been shut in, people have not gone on vacation, all this kind of stuff, and Balmore is closed, and like I said, Garner State Park is overrun, so we're the only game in town, so we can charge, you know, and if somebody's just coming in off the street, if we've got our sign saying, hey, things look good, and, you know, or things are gonna look better and everything, I don't think 7 is unreasonable, so, that's my opinion.
I'm Chris Race. One of my questions is we're gonna charge and we're gonna enforce it and all that stuff. Do we have the manpower and the systems to be able to keep track of all this stuff? And how are we gonna pay for that?
So the systems that have been introduced, and if you want to take the same point, that from my understanding, when we talked about the systems, and I know that there was a sound issue at the last meeting when the systems were discussed, that's why I'm just quickly going through this, but the systems that are being put in place will allow that to happen, and those systems were actually put in place at a $12,000 reduction in expense for the overall systems that were being taken out, and the functionality will be much greater, allowing for packages, allowing to tie into the golf course, so we can actually figure out what is and is not, and what the expenses are, and how do we actually look at that and figure it out going forward. As far as the staffing, I think Mr. Peterson addressed some of that earlier, but if you want to go into more detail.
Well, we're not gonna have lifeguards. I mean, it's pool attendants. And the way we have it scheduled, we'll have, probably scheduled from 9 o'clock until 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock. We'll have at least 3 on a day, plus a manager that'll be walking around. We do need to get communications equipment, stuff like that, but with duck in, that also gives us some coverage. Whether the duck in allows us to make some money to cover some costs too, no history to know it. Nobody's ever done it for years. So basically, we've done just a basic budget of what it's going to take to cover, to have at least 3 people walking around, one on one side, and taking breaks, just like normal lifeguard rotation, but just patrolling the area as well as the guard at the gate. So we'll do it as a combination from our security staff, as well. We've already hired, how many, 3?
Got 4.
We've got 4 girls, 4 people.
4 people.
Yeah, four individuals already hired that have
Plus
already been
Rosie.
trained,
Plus Rosie.
and plus Rosie, and
And Aurelia.
so we have 6 hired right now to cover it. And as the occupancy goes, we'll adjust accordingly. If we don't have that many people, we can drop it down to 2. But safety is the issue, and we want to make sure that Rules are followed, they're addressed. We've got new rule signs when you come in. We've moved them over to the left at the entrance. One's in Spanish, one's in English. We haven't come them across from the other side on the bridge. So the rules are there, and now we just make sure we enforce them. They've taken a lot of heat last weekend. So, but it's just a matter of consistency and keep it going that way. Everything is a learning process right now. It hasn't been done consistently. We're in alert. I would imagine by the middle of June, we'll have it down. We'll know a few more answers. Right now, it's go ahead and let's see what happens and adjust. So.
Good morning, Board. I'm Claudette Longoria, representing the estate of Delia Smith and Horace Smith. I'm also the heir. Good morning. I have a couple of problems. I wanted to address this. I've talked to Mr. Peterson, and some of the board knows me. I grew up here. I'm also a descendant of the legendary Seminole Indian Scouts. I did and have been paying all my grandmother's membership for the past 6 years, since she just had an angel anniversary of her passing. And not only was I concurrent and up to date and paying for the membership and the pool and the maintenance and everything through the due diligence that I'm supposed to as other members through my attorney. I've had legal representation since the time my grandmother took her last breath. And I can tell you that we have addressed many, many, many concerns through my legal counsel with the board, and we haven't met with Mr. Peterson yet, but not only was I paying those memberships for the pool, but I was also charged every day for myself and my guests, including family members that sat with children for 4.5 hours while the former board president did not come down to address that with me. They waited until holiday weekend and allowed children for the first time to come see where their family is or from, sit on the side. So imagine that being your grandkids, and these children are antsy, wanting to get in the pool. And instead of addressing that, we sat there until I did something about it to go address that myself. So I'm concerned because I have worked with similar people that Mr. Peterson and I have in common, but my colleague is also the person doing the restoration project at another state park that you had mentioned. I had mentioned that previously to the board president and put them in contact with their company out of New York. There's many concerns. I just went down there. But how all these problems are coming about, and we're waiting to the last minute per se. I've gone down there, I've documented it. There's a lot of safety issues that we have addressed. Going down there and seeing duct tape on cracks, it's a concern. Holes, the children playing over where it says electrical things and water flowing under it, those are concerns. There's no hardly any trash cans. Now in the time when summer is packed, there's limited trash, there's an overflow of trash, there's not maintenance picking it up, or some of the staff that's there as an attendant, all they do is one walk and they sit in the shack and do absolutely nothing. There's no lifesavers around the poles that there used to be, there's no first aid kits, there's no resources that can be proactive rather than reactive had someone get into a life situation or threatening situation. My concerns are the debilitating process of what's going on, and it's looking wonderful. I'm not trying to browbeat and be negative, but I'm just being realist with everything going on, because this is my home, and I am inheriting all the property, and I am gonna bring different things to the table. But one concern that I think that can be resolved is, I don't know if anybody's realized that this past year, unfortunately due to COVID, that it's the 150th year of the Seminole Scouts detachment being there. And nothing has been done on behalf of the fort. However, money is being made off the Seminole Scouts story. So my loosely projection is, I think it would be a great olive branch to us as Seminole Scouts detachment to have the fort own the celebration of honoring the Seminole Scouts, because the last time we had our Seminole Days, nothing And I absolutely mean nothing, not an advertisement, it wasn't advertised in the board, so members could come. There was nothing, that there was no discounts or having them come out while they were here. It was one of our largest celebrations in history of having it together. Are we doing something for Seminoles? Yes, this year, but we want to have a co-partnership. It's not us versus them or us versus y'all. I'm on both sides of the team. So I have an interest party on both sides of the team. As well as my grandparents are the ones that built the golf course because my grandfather was a PGA pro on the tour. And the reason why they selected that site with Mr. Mendelson, my grandmother felt that that would be a very honorable thing in the area because of the Scouts' history.
Excuse me, just one second. We're still at the pool price.
Right, so I'm bringing this all together.
And I understand.
So the pool pricing that would offset some of the nickel and diming of stuff, you could offer that to the Scouts, as well as like the memberships that they were doing of the package of for a month or 2 months, you can raise that because people are interested. They have not been able to see this, and it would be an enjoyable thing to have the members meet some of the descendants and have the opportunity to go down to the pool and have what we did back in the summers where we had live music, whether it's a DJ or other people, and then ask some of the scouts of SICA or others to come and host and help bring revenue to the pool, whether it's bodies and refreshments that they buy from ducking and stuff.
Absolutely.
But this is the thing where it could be a beneficial fiduciary improvement for the fort. Because also with the hotel, I just had guests that I invited down and I was embarrassed. Even
I
in
totally understand.
renovation, and I took them down there and I was appalled by what I saw. I just got back in town. And my thing is, how can I help bridge these fiduciary things? How can I bridge the communication between the membership and our history? Because I look around this place and I am bothered. I do take it personal because this is my family's history and other people's history and the other scouts that served here. So I think that there could be so many crystal clear and transparency of the needs, the specific needs, because I'm gonna be honest with you, the attendance, they don't really clean up. They see trash, they walk right by it.
Right.
And that's a big problem with money,
I
because people
understand.
don't wanna go there for
I
it.
understand that, and so what I would encourage is that these are great topics, and I'm really excited to hear that you want to talk about all this, and we've got the town hall coming up directly
Oh,
after
I'm
that.
gonna be there.
And that's
But
exactly.
money, but what was being heard or said right now about the money, I'm not okay with it. I think we're getting away from the meat of it, the substance of it. And I think we keep band-aiding more cracks, and as it goes, more other things kind of spider webbing out of control. So I would like to propose to raise money to take in consideration with the revenue issues and the remodeling and the projects that we have going on, that we adopt some type of project as a whole to invite people, because people will come more if they know it's attached to something.
And the first step in that was putting together the Lushmore Spring Restoration Committee, which we have not paid a single dollar out of membership dollars to get with the work done, and as you know, the work that's been done down there, and we're gonna continue to do that. And I think that is the first step that we then build on to do something like you're speaking about, is where we start to bring the community together. And trust me, we're looking for olive branches. We've got to get a few things done on the front end so that we can manage that. Because if you go out and you bring in a bunch of the Seminole Scouts and we can't figure out what room they're supposed to be in, that ain't gonna work.
That happened to me. I brought
So,
2 renowned filmmakers in to document.
right.
And I called 4 hours ahead, just making sure that our staff, and I say our staff as a fort, looks well.
Right.
Because it's a representative of us,
Yes.
because people are looking to buy properties. But we don't have the quality of staff, of professionalism to do those things. And I hate and I know I'm just saying my experience, but at the same time, if we start micromanaging and fluffing prices, we have to be able to back it up with some type of substance. And
It's
we're
coming.
not right now.
But, well, and this has been a long journey through COVID, and I'm happy that you're back, and I hope that you're starting to see the marked improvements. I constantly get comments about how the change in SOP and the way that we're working with our maintenance staff to keep the grounds up, it's getting there. And
I
walk
wouldn't
around.
know, and I'm gonna be honest with you, because still to date, my attorney and myself have yet to receive any legal or ethical representation back from you guys that we should. So I have no access to anything as I should.
I have
I've
sent out a
never-
letter to all of the membership
I've
that
never
has
gotten
my
it.
phone number.
Never gotten it. I've never gotten one piece of information. Certain people keep sending me stuff about the bill, even though that they need to go through my attorney. So there's a lot of things, and what I'm trying to do, I'm an ally.
Yes, ma'am.
However, I represent the people sitting in this room and the people that are gone. And I represent my interest as well. Because while I don't have children, I'm an advocate for this place.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
like I told Mr. Peterson, I have an interested buyer who owns Westgate Resorts. And before I bring the Seagulls down, I would like this place to be a little bit polished. And I have a hometown person that was here who's a decorated veteran that served during Black Hawk Down in Mogadishu, who has a liquor company. His father was the sheriff here, Mr. Hooten. And I would like to bring him back to help with revenue and co-partnership with things. However, I'm embarrassed, and he's from here, and I've shown him different things.
I
But
understand.
I'm here to
Yeah.
raise money for you guys, but how can we do that to have staff that's quality and not somebody
Okay.
that's local walking around that's
Have you-
ignoring what's going on?
Have you gone to
Please
the
pick this
Seminole,
conversation.
Yeah,
have you gone to the Seminole organization in town and talked to
I'm a
them?
part of them.
Well, so you work with them to get your project.
Oh, I can
the
do it,
way-
but that's not what I want to do, Mr. Herman. I want to, this is where we should do something
I've
first.
got to
But
work with
I
that.
understand, but that's a whole nother subject. But what I want to do is help, like the lifesavers, the things that we should have, the trash cans. I went down there recently and I was asking little kids to pick up trash.
I understand.
So
We-
those are
we
the
will-
things that are
we
concerns.
will address this, and we will address them today with you. I will talk with you today
Okay.
about this. At length.
That's all. I want to make it
Yes, ma'am. I'm here as
welcoming
well.
instead of going down there and spending
Yes.
money and you're like, what am I paying for this?
Yes,
So that's what I'm just saying. I'm just giving my opinion of what I've observed in the past and currently.
thank you.
And so, thank you.
If I may, if there's no other member comments?
That's too many.
Okay, the reason, do you have a comment?
Yes,
Okay,
so I was never in favor of the 2-minute time limit when we would be contributing, but I do think, and I perfectly understand that these are issues that need to be brought up. But I think that we need to be able to let more of us have a conversation as opposed to having several people who have things to say and have no other avenue to say them except in this meeting. We've got to find a way that we can.
Well, that's community council, and that was a town hall meeting this afternoon.
Yes, so,
This is a board meeting, and
yes,
you
and
know,
I would
let's get it done.
appreciate if we could have a several-minute limit so that we can move through the business. Because at this point, we're
Yes.
going to be going straight to the town hall meeting for this meeting.
Yes.
So that's just my,
I kind of liked the 3 for 3 last time, so.
Thank you, and we will
Thank you.
discuss it as a board.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, the reason that I sent this in, and y'all can't see it, it's a census sheet of how many people are at the pool under what rate, is because on some of the grants that Las Modas Corporate, or Las Modas Restoration Project will try to get later on, we need this information for those grant requests. Mr. Hale has already told us that we need to start a census, so this doesn't have to be my form, but I was just putting it in so that we could discuss the fact that we do need census numbers for those grants.
So I think that, well, yeah, so that's those images. So I think that the proposal that was put forth by Mr. Mummy, there's been a few modifications to. And I'll just go through the summary that I thought that I've heard the changes.
Okay.
So the first change was down at number 3. Instead of member grandchildren up to the age of 18 for $2, that would become part of number 5, which reads Bracket ISD student with a Bracket ISD ID, $3 per day, or breaks out the system that was discussed before, which is $153 through Sunday, July 18th. That period would run from May 28th, 2021 through Monday, September 6th, 2021. There would also be an additional pass that had $40 for 20 punches. Was that correct? Did I capture that?
That was, yes, sir.
That to combine those two, the grandchildren and the bracket ISD into the same category.
Or were we doing $1 for the grandchildren? I kinda got confused there, so.
Well, we have to have a motion, so which way do we wanna vote on it first?
I make a motion that grandparents pay $1 per grandchild.
Okay,
Okay,
so,
well, we can't,
so if he's
It's gonna be
like,
the whole thing.
Sorry. For that adjustment.
okay.
so I
Financial-
have no second, so there's that motion die.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, the motion is $1 and everything else the same?
No,
Well,
you can't be done that way.
let's ask the person who's in charge financially, can we afford $1 for grandkids, or do we need to keep it at 2? Because basically, we've charged you with making us profitable.
Correct.
Without any kind of history.
It's hard to say.
Yeah,
And I think that I would offer this to the rest of the membership and the rest of the board. We can change this. We can go down. If it's not working, we can go down.
The $2 you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's keep it at $2 a grandkid for right now, up to age 13, because I think some of our members said 18's too old.
About 15.
Let's leave it at that.
Leave it
We're
at
getting
18 for right now?
really dicey when we're getting down into
Okay.
the weeds of, I mean,
Okay.
next we're gonna be fingerprinting people. and
Okay,
taking DNA.
so, okay,
not a bad idea.
Yeah.
so members, grandkids to up to 18 then, okay?
Can you add to that a 2-week pass?
Well, that's
There's
the punch card.
Yeah, that's the punch card.
Okay,
It's in number 5.
okay, I got you.
Kenny County residents would be $4, non-member guests, non-Kenny County residents, $5 per day, $5 per day, but we discussed making that 7 until we can readjust or evaluate some numbers. And then the guest package for the hotel would be simply for the RV park and the campground, and then there would be an increased fee in the hotel. Did I capture that correctly?
Hotel fee just include 2,
The hotel fee would include 2.
and that's it.
And the Kenny County residents, if you want to take that up to 5 so it matches, or actually, we were talking 7, right?
Yes,
Okay.
and I did state that change.
Okay, so do you want 6 to be $7 a day for Kenny County parents bringing their kids, or do you
Kenny
want
County, that'd be
It's at 4 right now.
5 or
to make it to 5?
Well, the original was 5.
Okay,
The
we
one-
can take that to 5. Okay.
So, can I just ask the question, how does this compare to what you have compared to, what's the difference? The pass for grandchildren?
The pass is fine, yeah, but I just didn't put anything down for pass.
But that's basically the only real big
That's
difference.
the only thing. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we can actually do Mr. Peterson's original proposal with the addition of the bracket ISD and grandchildren pass.
Correct.
That would be much easier for someone to say. I think we have one comment in the back.
I'm not gonna stand up and walk over there, but I wanna ask you, if there's somebody, a member that doesn't have children, yet they have nieces and nephews, are they not guests of the family, like a grandchild?
Yes.
That's gonna be a guest, a member guest, which would be $5, 13 and up, $3, 12 and under. That's a member guest.
That's gonna be considered a class action suit, because it's ageism. And I'm gonna tell you why.
Oh, for God's sakes, give it a rest.
It's
Please,
not.
we have more items to get
I'm just
through.
letting them know, this is a legal thing.
We'll bring it up at the town
It's a
hall
legal
meeting.
thing. We are
There's more
discussing it
items
now.
at this board
No, we're
meeting
not.
that
I'm
need to be gone
addressing that.
through.
I have the
Okay.
right to
All
address
right.
what you're saying.
Yeah, let's make.
Well,
I
let's have a
every right
motion.
to
Oh,
leave.
my Lord.
Okay, I move that we accept Mr. Peterson's original recommendation
Thank you.
with adding number 5 from this proposal to include the season passes and punch cards.
Would you also add a addition to that motion to run this by the HOA attorney?
I also would recommend that we run this by the HOA attorney.
I second it.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 4 to 1.
Moving on.
Okay, the rules and regulations change, barking dogs. This was an item that we asked for recommendations by the bylaws and rules committee. That falls on me I did not get that organized in time for them to make all their recommendations. So this will be included on the next item if anyone has any other discussions. We don't have any documents from them, so there's nothing to change.
Helena indicated she was more than willing to work on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
We could just leave it as is for,
Barking dogs.
because I think I was the one that was like most adamantly against this, and I got telephone calls, because evidently there are people on the fort who have barking dogs that bother them, and they were letting me know that my neighbor that plays loud music at 2 in the morning is not the only reason people can't sleep, so I'm willing to support this at this time.
yeah, I support the idea behind the deal, but there's, the language is, a little verbose at the moment.
Okay.
Last time when I was reading it, I thought I might pass out. We're in.
And there is currently in the rules and regs that barking dogs are a nuisance, correct?
Yes.
There are, but we need, and this is something that we'll have handled, because I know it is something that the membership is very much, on top of, and I'm glad that they were able to reach out to a board member and have that brought up while we were here, because it has been brought up to me as well. So the lease for the wastewater treatment area, now this is
Excuse me, what did you do with number
we're
2?
leaving it as old business, so that will be addressed.
So it's
at the next-
basically tabled again?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a little bit about the mud thing.
Okay, so new lease for wastewater treatment area, I believe that you got some communication.
Right, I reached out to Randy and wasn't comfortable with the response. It was very similar to what we heard the last meeting. So I then reached out to Steve Fox, who notified Felix Cerna that we have questions, we aren't comfortable with signing this, we're not exactly sure about everything. So we'd like to be, before we start signing that deed, or giving them permission to prepare one. So what has transpired is on Wednesday, MUD is having their regular board meeting, and we are invited, whoever from this board would like to go, Mr. Peterson can go, to go and listen to what they can tell us there. Maybe that's enough for us to clear up the confusion. If it's not, we will discuss it more.
I think that's a doable situation. Do you have something, Mr. Peterson?
Mr. Peterson, you will be attending the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We'll have to find out the time. Do you know the time, Alan?
It was the same time as ours, 9:30.
Yes.
Okay.
And I appreciate you going, because I have a PET scan, I can't go.
So that one will stay
Table.
tabled as well. There are no motions to move on, so there's no new information. There was an email vote. The original meeting for today was to be done at 9 a.m., or excuse me, at 9:30 a.m. We thought we had several items on here that would have long discussions, and, as we stated as we were going through, speaking with the membership, that we would not, limit at this time the interaction with the membership and the board. So we thought that moving it up 30 minutes would be good to help facilitate that time. So that was the reason for that vote, and that was approved unanimously. Action items, we have a collection policy that has been produced by our attorneys. Mr. Peterson, can you give some background on the use of this policy and how it would be enforced?
Well, when we started proceeding on all our delinquent accounts this last year, been working with our lawyers in San Antonio. And in case anybody knows, as long as we proceed in this manner, although we're getting charged, there is the fee is passed down to the people that we are pursuing. They have to pay the legal fees also. So when we were talking to them, we had a light policy, but I was talking to our lawyers and they suggested that we go ahead and draft a standard operating procedure as far as how to follow all the collections. So we do everything according to 1, 2, 3 in order, and everything's done correctly, so there is no confusion, there's no question mark. May take us a little longer, but as long as you consistently go and you're not gonna fall back and have to start over again, which is what's happened many, many years. So they drafted this policy up for us. It's pretty much a standard for a lot of HOAs that they run, and then they sent that to us.
Does non-judicial mean you don't have to have an attorney go to court for you?
I don't know. That's a term that,
Because I saw that in the documents. This is a non-judicial.
that's not this one.
that's-
That's the
okay.
next one.
Okay.
That's a completely different thing.
So this document was drafted for us and is used by other HOAs, and the idea here is to start the process and implement policies within the fort to continuously move through that process without having to start over, which puts us further behind, further delinquent, and robs cash from our revenue stream.
Correct.
Thank you. So everyone had a chance to review?
Yes.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of approving the collection policy? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, well, the next item comes up. I'm not certain that the ownership name can be talked about, so that just needs to, we want to be mindful of that. There's a foreclosure item, that this is the non-judicial foreclosure.
There we go.
Mr. Peterson, can you talk us through this?
As opposed to the other way of following it up, this is one that we contracted out with one lawyer to proceed in a non-judicial manner and go for a foreclosure on a lot. Now, this is one that we pay the fees for, but we decided to do that to try this method to get it done quicker. There's no contestant or anything like that, and we already have the lot sold. So it's a matter of, let's get this back in our name, take it over. Now, the non-judicial foreclosure, I'm not a lawyer, but I can say a judicial foreclosure means that the lender goes to court to get a judgment to foreclose on a home.
Non-judicial, you don't have to.
While non-judicial foreclosure means that the lender does not need to go to court.
Which is a
Law.
lot less expensive.
So if we vote to approve this foreclosure, basically this lot is sold and we will be collecting some of the back dollars that were not collected throughout the year.
We'll have a net gain of about $1,500.
Okay. And this is to give the association and the Fort Clark staff the ability to have multiple avenues to pursue properties depending on the situation.
Yeah, if we know that there's a conclusion that we know it's in our best interest and we need to do it quickly, this is the way we can do it. And it's just this is a trial, and we talked to one individual lawyer, and we decided to just try it to see if it would work for us.
Has everyone had a chance to review the non-judicial foreclosure?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to proceed with the non-judicial foreclosure procedure.
I second.
All in favor? Passes unanimously. Okay, two-way radios. I believe I have some background on this, but do you want to give us just a short? Yeah, there's no.
We do not have any proposals right now,
Okay.
but the need is there because of all of our increased activity on the fort, in the county and around to, and if you really think about it, it's something we had before evidently many years ago. And that's two-way radios for our security staff. Because right now they're depending on cell phones. And we're having a lot of interaction with illegals coming in. And the response time for a cell phone as opposed to a radio that 5 or 6 people can hear is pretty much a safety issue.
And this is actually go through the Kenny County repeater?
Right. And that's why it's gonna cost a little bit more than what your other handhelds. But it has to go, the repeater is up on the water tower. So it gives us the coverage we need. We've been working with Mr. Garcia and making sure that we can use a couple of channels that they have extra. And we're trying to work it out with all the emergency services in the area.
So this will be something that we need to table and just,
Until we get the prices, because there are a couple of different items out there, we haven't had a chance to do the history. And we have a couple other people trying to look into exactly what we need.
How many are we looking at?
12?
12?
and would that connect the pool as well? Maybe duck
That would
in?
give us enough to have down at the pool also, as well as, probably not the golf course, but we probably would have one if we needed to. But that would be one with all our patrols, Philip, Matt, myself, base station, as well as the motel.
Do you have any idea what the cost would be at this time? What's the potential cost?
$5,000 to $6,000.
We have a motion to table this item until we proceed further.
So moved.
All in favor? All right, the last action item for today is the air conditioner for the admin office. I believe that's for the latter half of this building, directly across from us.
Right, we have no HVAC in that area, in that room. What we would like to try, and this is a low-cost mini-split system that is a do-it-yourself system from Home Depot that sort of fits the needs of this building better than what a central air does. And it's the mini-split that will attach 3 different split systems in each office that we have. The compressor will be outside, it's a do-it-yourself. I've used them before in resorts, they work. I've never done the completely do-it-yourself system, but for the price, it may be worth our shot because we have a lot of buildings that have that kind of need. And it'd be just one that goes, okay, let's go ahead and try it out. Obviously, they're not going to be able to survive in there during the summer if they don't have an air conditioner. The units that usually come in will be, you're looking at a $10,000 unit to replace the central unit, but doing it with the split systems, I think it's for $2,500. And I think it's worth the try to see if that will work for us.
And we'll do the installation.
We'll do everything. Some of the other mini splits are not do-it-yourself, but you still have to hire somebody to vacuum the lines. This one you do not.
How much would it cost to repair what's there, or it's not repairable?
Not repairable.
They've been destroyed over short
30
time.
years. They're not short term. They've been here. Almost every system you have here has been here 20 to 25 years.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We have a motion?
I make a motion to get her done, the air conditioning system.
A second.
All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Any announcements? Not yet. All right, we'll now,
Make a final comment?
thanks. No, this is just announcements and we'll adjourn it.
Just a follow-up, I've been here 2 years now, and I ride my bike all around the fort, and the improvements on the fort since you've gotten here are just amazing. And the
Thank you.
projects you're working on. I think everything's going in the right direction.
We
And,
actually have a good crew here,
yeah,
so,
vastly improved.
thank you.
So I thank you for coming.
All right, so now we'll adjourn into executive session, and then we'll return after that.
Can
Thank
are we meeting here for the boardroom when we start? We are, okay.
We have to